What's up guys? Today thankfully is going to be a quick video. I'm going to go over a few of my disappointing wear and tear items and just show you an update of how they are wearing. And unfortunately, it's not great for some of them. And I do wear my bags, so I don't baby them, although there is one that I am going to baby as a result of one of the items I'm going to show you. So let's get started with the first one. So the first item I'm going to talk to you about is Bottega Veneta, and it's the basket weaving, which is pretty much their classic look. And this is my first Bottega item. I really wanted to start small because sometimes it's nice to, when you discover a brand and you're new to it, you start small and you kind of see how it wears and how you get along with it and that sort of thing, which is why I bought this. I also just loved the capacity of it. I loved the size of it and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna show you some close-up detail of its actual wear, just because it's a little bit hard to show right now sometimes. I mean, I guess it shows some. You can see a lot of scratching. Like I said, this gets tossed in between, different bags as I change them out. The hardware is wearing fine, so there's no complaints there. But there's a lot of chipping of color and fading of color, particularly around the edges. And again, I'll show you some more close-ups of that, but that part's super disappointing. Also, my first video on YouTube, which is informative, but not a great video because it was my first, and not to say that they're getting better. My first video on YouTube was actually this Bottega key pouch, comparing it against the Gucci key pouch. I haven't watched that video since I posted it, but I did say something to the effect of, I don't know how the basket weaving was gonna wear, because I just wondered if it was like the edges was gonna curl up over time. And I do believe that is happening, unfortunately. Like, I could see the wrinkling of it actually happening. Again, it's kind of hard to see, but maybe you can see it better with the shadows. It's lifting, like the edges on some of these are really lifting and curling, and it's just not wearing very nicely at all. Yeah, I don't know if you can really see it in this light. Like, this one's pretty bad right here, but I don't think you can see it in this light quite as well. The leather is pretty delicate. It's beautiful. I love the basket weaving. So, in terms of the aesthetics, it's totally there. But the color is definitely fading in and chipping off on the edges, especially. The basket weaving edges are curling and sort of rolling. And it's very scratched up because the leather is very delicate. The inside is wearing totally fine, and I can't really complain about that. I love that there's like an internal pocket here where you can keep cards. So I love that. But I can't really complain about the internal wear. I mean, look at all these scratches. They're really bad. And, yes, they get tossed in my bags, but I don't abuse my things. I use them, but I don't abuse them. So for 6 months of wear, this is not that good. As beautiful as it is, this has taught me that I'm not really interested in buying any more Bottega items. This was very expensive for what it is. Okay, so the next item that I'm going to show you is my Longchamp Le Pliage bag. And I've used this particular small size bag for probably about 2.5 months, steady and, on the regular. So I've discussed this before briefly in my things to consider before you buy any luxury bag video, which I will also link. So this is basically a brand new bag. After 2.5 months, there's a lot of wear on it. So this has very worn out corners, which you can see here. This is nylon. It's got very sharp corners. The fabric is folded in on itself. So perhaps it's not a surprise, but it is very disappointing that it's showing this much wear after 2.5 months. So you can imagine that after a year of continuous wear, this is gonna wear even worse. This is not, thousands of dollars or anything. I understand that. But after 2.5 months, it's a little disappointing still. The other points of wear that I noticed is around the inside of the handles. So this is only a top handle, so you're gonna only hold it this way or this way, right? But when you're squeezing it together, the wear on the handles, you can see, it's not like a thick glaze, it's definitely a thin glaze that's there, but you can see the wear. That has kind of made me very aware of my Alma BB. And my Alma BB is also obviously a top handle bag, although it comes with a crossbody. I don't really love the way it looks with a crossbody. In this one, it's a bit different because the glazing is much thicker, as you can see here. But I am now very conscious of holding my bag like this and squeezing too hard over time or continuously over time, because I don't want the glazing to wear, and I know that that can happen. So that is something I'm much more conscious of than I was before. This is already kind of a delicate bag because it's patent leather, and you have to be careful with the shininess and like the fingerprints and the grease and the whatever. But the glazing is now what I'm a lot more conscious about. So just something to be aware of. Maybe it's not such a big deal, but I guess what my point being that it happened so quickly, that part is kind of disappointing, I have to say. By the way, I want to compare that glazing with the Longchamp of how it's wearing versus a new Longchamp. This is a new Longchamp. This is the inside of the handle with the glazing, and you see how it's perfectly perfect. This is brand new. I haven't worn it yet because I just got it from the outlets. This, and I'll just show you real quick because it's kind of exciting. All right, this bag reminded me of the Louis Vuitton sac plat. This is how it looks. I loved the color blocking on it, and the eggplant colored handles and leather trim. This is kind of a fun bag, but it reminded me of the LV sac plat. And again, it was from the outlet, so I thought I'd show you. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna show you, and again, I'm so glad this is a short video, is my Fendi Baguette. And I will say that this is 100% my fault. This is maybe borderline abusive wear in terms of how I used it. This is not recommended in terms of how I wore it for the last couple of weeks, but the last few weeks has been really busy for me, and I've been in and out of cars, driving and whatever. So I've been pretty careless about how I was wearing this particular bag. And as I've mentioned this before, my Fendi Baguette is very much a throw and go for me. I don't think about it, and I love it, and it's really served me over the years. And I've had this for quite a few years, never had any issues in terms of wear and tear. As a matter of fact, it's always looked brand new. The thing about Napa leather is that it's a type of lambskin, but it's quite durable. And it kind of reminds me of human skin. So you can purposefully wrinkle it and it'll kind of bounce back and smooth out. So that's kind of the beauty about this particular bag, in my opinion. And I'll show you, like, the flap still looks really good and brand new. Now, what I have been doing with this, again, very careless, and again, borderline abusive, is I've been wearing this in and out of the car, and I've been wearing it as a crossbody, which is normally what I do. And I have been wearing it crossbody without taking it off my body, getting in and out of the car, and putting my seatbelt on top of that. So you can imagine the squish that's happening against the bag. So this is how I normally wear it. This is how it, lays on me. So the seatbelt goes this way. This thing is getting crushed. And I have to be honest, I'm not entirely sure where the seatbelt hits, but on the bag. But I knew and was completely aware of the fact that the seatbelt was completely squishing my bag. And I would be driving, I'd get out, do whatever, come back in the car, still with my bag on, strap in, and, rinse and repeat. And so as a result of that, the flap is still fine. But where it's sustained some, what I think is permanent damage is the wrinkling on the inside of the flap. So I'm gonna show you some of close-up footage, but there is a very deep wrinkle right here, and it's almost like a fold now, and it won't come out. Now you can contrast that by the other side, which you don't have that as much. Like, there's definitely more wrinkling happening on this side of the bag, on the inner flap. And one side is worse than the other. So it's just kind of unfortunate that I mean, some of you might be like, that's not a big deal, get over it. I think when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, because my bag was, even though it's been heavily worn with normal wear, it was pristine. It really was pristine. And when I looked at it after the abusive behavior, I looked at it and I was kind of startled. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And it was kind of startling going from a pristine bag to just kind of that permanent crease here. Yes, there is a natural line here because of the F, but it is way deeper and creased all the way through than it normally is. So I'm gonna say that's pretty, I don't know. I was a little bummed about it. I can get over it. It's fine. Bags are meant to be worn and used. It doesn't take away from its functionality, but you know, the corners are still beautiful. As much as I wear this bag, which is a lot, the corners are still fabulous. The flap is still very much pristine. I will even say, like, the glazing on the edges is completely fine. There's no issues there. The back is totally fine. Like, I really have no complaints or issues around the rest of the bag, but something to be mindful of is that this kind of Napa leather is going to wrinkle. It's really like skin. Like, you wrinkle, you know, you fold up your skin and it'll bounce back. But after continuous wear of wrinkling or scowling or whatever, that wrinkle's gonna get deeper. So it's the same thing. That's basically the same thing that's gonna happen with this bag, because it really does resemble human skin, in my opinion. So just something to be aware about. You know, is it massive? No, I can live with it, it's fine. But I know that some of you have been asking about wear and tear update on this particular bag because, you know, the Baguette is quite a popular and classic bag. So I wanted to just make you guys aware of that. I still stand by the statement of this is a kick-ass bag. It's fantastic. It really is still great wear and tear for the type of leather it is and that sort of thing. So I would still say don't be afraid of it, but just something to be aware of as a wear and tear. Probably no one does what I did, which is wear your bags in the car under a seatbelt. That's just stupid. So there's no one to blame but me on that. So that's completely on me. But anyway, that's basically it. That's an update of my items. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, then maybe go binge watch some of my other videos, and I will see you next time.